Stream is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons
And
and Dragons,
dragons.
everyone.
With a dungeon.
So, as might be expected, when you get to session 118 of a campaign, there's a lot going on. So much so that I had to remind my players what was happening. Where we left the pocket protectors is having secured the diamond with infinite facets, they returned to the capital city of Pashan only to discover it's in political turmoil because the emperor has been assassinated, apparently in an effort to steal an amulet that you also needed. You need the diamond and the amulet to pursue your plan to make a door into the sealed city of Dinuthere, which you want to do because there's maybe good people trapped in there with bad, and it seems like a non-permanent solution anyway. You reunited your patron, Yobert Relenth, with his long-lost love, Curity Detweiler, and they excused themselves to have a reunion in private. And I see players laughing as though that isn't an entirely reasonable and non-dirty thing to do.
I'm sure they were just talking.
Lots of notes to cover.
You know, like, it's been a while. A lot has happened. They might want to take it a little slow. But anyway,
I don't know. They both have heart conditions, so they need to be careful.
Anyway, you also have your contact inside the city government here, Nelson Devereaux, aka Friend of the Emperor, who has warned you that things seem like they could explode here because you've got a military contingent looking to perhaps disrupt the normal plans for succession. The Emperor apparently does not want to be resurrected because when you attempted, the priest of Solomonia said that they had spoken to the Emperor's soul and they didn't want to return. And instead, Solomonia had sent a new regent along with an unspecified miracle, which we now know out of character to be the creation of hundreds of new clerics and paladins tasked with fighting the nightmares. So all you know in character, at least as we left you, was that a lot of people with brand new wings seemed to be flying around, and there had been an announcement and a sunbeam over the palace where a new regent had been declared, which is also notably not in the traditional line of succession. So, you know that, or at least one of you knows, that you have received a message saying basically, if you still want to do the diamond and amulet thing, you better come to the temple and come alone. Or don't tell anybody is what they said. They didn't actually say come alone, but, you know, it's implied. And Vertigo has not told anybody, even his companions. So here's where I ask you, what would you like to do? We can hand wave a little bit of fact finding if you want, but like I said, we
Do we know who the new regent is? Because that would be the first thing that I'd want to know.
Yeah, tell me how you would find out.
Well, I feel like our patron probably has some connections.
I mean, we could just cast message or sending or whatever to find out. We don't have to go all the way over there again.
Wouldn't they make an announcement of this sort of thing?
Probably. I mean, are you still all just standing on the roof, or do we want to assume that some time has passed?
I These are the hard questions, guys.
Did we have dinner? I don't understand. Um,
We don't want to, upset Brennan. He went to all this trouble. So I guess we're still on the roof.
So
Yeah.
we left things at noon. You had been able to eat, but noon was when this promised miracle would happen. This is still just the next day after the emperor was murdered in the middle of the previous night, in the early hours of the morning. So it has not been a long time yet, and this proclamation of a new regent wasn't really done by traditional channels.
I don't know. Things here are getting weird. I'm thinking, maybe we should take our flying castle and go off and
Let them sort it out.
yeah.
The one concern I have is to where the amulet ended up. I have an idea about some of the magic that I was able to do in the other place, in the Feywild. I may be able to find a location, or at least a direction. It's going to take a little bit of research, but I'm also not really sure if, well, I'm not really sure what this place is going to be like for a while.
Is anybody else worried that I don't know, this seems a little like an invasion to me? Anybody else getting that feeling?
Do you mean Solomonia?
Yeah, a little bit.
She's always played straight by us. So
I mean, I think sometimes you're a little too influenced by the heroes of legend stories about her. I mean, she's given us these great boons. She's never really done anything
Yeah, but
untoward.
she doesn't do things for nothing, is what I'm saying.
How do you know?
Well, okay.
I mean, they're legends
Heroes
and
of legend
stories.
aside, we traded her a demon for what she gave us. Like, so that it's not like she just, gifted us things. She got something in return.
I don't remember it being exactly a trade so much as a demand.
yeah.
And she
Yes,
was
but she
more
was very
powerful.
benevolent about it and paid us for the things she demanded.
And also she had a point that I don't think we had any chance of controlling it or doing anything useful with it, and it would take someone way stronger than us.
Maybe she was afraid we would turn it on her, which maybe we should have thought about that, I guess.
Well,
Because, hindsight's 2020. I mean, that would be a great tool now if this is what she's doing, like what you're
So-
suggesting.
Well, all I'm saying is that she's not that she's not good. That's not what I'm saying. It's that this is a lot. Like, just judging by what we could see from here, that's a lot that she did. I mean, she's not going to just, like, when all this nightmare stuff is done, be like, okay, that was fun, and go home.
I think Nedry gets up from the table and starts pacing. I'm kind of thinking the hands behind the back.
well, if we were to suppose what Solomonia's motives might be, which is a bit much, gods being, I don't know, more complicated, I guess. There's a couple of things. One, we've been talking to numerous people about the dangers that this whole Dunatherian magic poses. It might be that with the danger that big, finally she's intervening in a way that can be useful. One also wonders if the death of the Emperor triggered more than just political chaos. Maybe the Emperor was, in fact, holding something back, or there was an agreement that while the Emperor was alive, something may or may not happen. and the Emperor is tied to everything. That amulet he was wearing was no coincidence. Whether or not the Emperor knew exactly its provenance, I don't know. But I can't imagine that he wouldn't have had it researched.
Well, was he the one that, because I mean, he's been the emperor for a really long time. And I don't know who it was that charged the, let me find it. I have this written down. Uh, cannot find it, but the academy.
The Reclaimers Academy?
Yeah, the Reclaimers Academy was, if that wasn't him, it was, the person that came before him. So I would think he would know where it came from. Because they had that mission that was out at the Temple of Marushka. That's where it came from.
Ivy
So I don't know how
says-
he couldn't know.
Ivy says, Mr. Devereaux told us that it had been something he had claimed some years back to help with some infirmity. I imagine he knew where he had gotten it, but I don't know that that's suspicious, and I'm not sure how it connects to Solomonia. I mean,
Not sure.
presumably if
Maybe-
Solomonia wanted it, she could have.
I'm not saying that she wants that in particular. Not what I'm saying.
It could have been that the Emperor was somehow preventing Solomonia from taking this action, and now that they're no longer around, Solomonia was free to proceed. But it seems unlikely that an emperor, no matter how powerful or well liked or not, could have held back a god's intentions.
Well, I would typically think not, but that said, generally speaking, there's usually not a need to put mortal powers and the wills of the gods into direct conflict like that. This is rather a unprecedented move from Solomonia here in terms of intervention from the outer planes into the material plane. But that said, we are certainly dealing with unprecedented risk right now, what with the situation in the plane of nightmares and such. It may be that the things are happening a bit too quickly for us to just easily find out about from here. Perhaps I should report to the palace and find out more about what's going on at the ground.
I think that's a good idea.
But you'll have to be very careful. We don't really know what our status is with respect to the palace. We are friends of the friend of the Emperor. But with no Emperor, whose friend are we now?
Yeah.
It's a good question,
Yeah.
but our Nelson Devereaux is a resourceful man, and I believe that he has some plans in place. But at the same time, I think the combined forces of a god's direct intervention and an antsy military that has not got to fight anyone in a while, that's a lot to deal with. So in any case, I'll report to the palace, try to find out what's going on. I will be careful. And I guess I'll try to keep you updated with what I can find out.
Would it be helpful if you had this and like I have that sending stone that goes to here?
Okay. Oh, yes. I mean, we have certain sending stones available at the palace, but I suppose it wouldn't hurt to have a personal one on me if you do not need it for anyone else.
Well, I'm not going anywhere at the moment, and I think most of us are planning on staying put. And if things get a little, risky or whatever, we don't want you to don't put yourself in danger. Get out if you need to get out, okay?
Of course. Yes.
And call for help if something goes weird.
And take this with you too.
And Nedry will hand their vertigo, it's been a while, will hand Ivy a piece of paper.
Mhm.
If you might have, well, there may be other interferences with that sending stone, or it might be too obvious, but just write a message on this piece of paper and fold it up. It will fly to me.
She looks at it and just says, "Thank you. It's as you say, it's probably not a bad idea to have the potential, at least, for multiple avenues of communication. But here's the other thing: is that I will certainly be careful there at the palace, but it's likewise true that while I know for a fact, and Nelson Devereaux believes that you had nothing to do with the Emperor, the word treason being brought up for Nelson Devereaux does suggest a potential hazard to any associated with him. And that does potentially mean that you all would be seen as targets for arrest, depending on who it is that has decided to take the initiative for that action. So here's the thing. I believe that your mission is of critical importance for all of this, and you cannot allow yourselves to be taken into custody. And so if there were to be some sort of an incident whereupon they attempt arrest of me and all of you, I would wish for you to continue on your mission rather than risk yourselves trying to help me. I believe that I believe that with Nelson's help, we can take care of ourselves. I just want to make sure that the broader mission doesn't get bogged down in this. Because as insane as it feels to say, I feel like the assassination and disputed succession of the Emperor is not the biggest concern we have right now.
Yeah, life is weird.
Yeah.
We will hold for at least a day, but I don't know if we'll hold for longer than that. It will take me some hours to get my spell together. With it, I should be able to tell if the amulet is still in the city. If it's not, we will have to leave.
Right, well, I will try to tell you what I can find out from the palace. And she kind of looks at all of you and just says, "We'll see each other again."
Of course.
That's not ominous or anything.
I was really trying for not ominous. It felt awkward. I was just standing here and it felt like I was trying to say goodbye or something.
No, we don't say goodbye around here.
Well, that's why I said I was.
We say,
I'm leaving.
"I'll
She
see
goes
you
down the
later."
stairs. She said, "I'll see you later." Calls up from the stairs.
I think she's in danger.
I think we're
Well,
all
yeah.
in danger.
Brennan says, "Do you think that are you going to have to leave in a hurry, do you think?"
I
Ideally,
think we're
no.
all gonna have to leave in a hurry
Yeah.
if this goes
thinking,
bad.
Yeah, flying castle under
Well,
cover of dark might
see,
be a good idea.
That's what I'm just saying, though, is that flying castle, great, not fast.
Hmm.
Also not discreet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we leave at night.
They're still gonna see us. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
city.
Especially
And that's a
if,
little suspicious.
if the especially if they're watching you.
Is the lightning reel still running? Has there been any harm to
I
it?
mean, I would only assume so. I think it would be a pretty big move for anyone to try to shut that down. It would kind of cripple a lot of trade in the city. It would be a big deal, but I mean, things are happening. I can't say for sure.
That would be one way where we could go our own way, with some place that you can meet us later.
Well, the other thing I was actually just kind of thinking is that, the castle trying to fly away is kind of big and obvious and flashy and might, like indicate, like, oh God, they're running sort of thing, right? Whereas if we stay here, we're big and obvious. People can see us up on the sky tower from a ways away. And if there's just the assumption that you're all in here, we could probably hold out for a bit longer while you all slip away. If you feel like
is-
that's necessary.
There is a way we can go without being seen at all. It's a little bit dangerous. I still haven't mastered everything the stone can do.
Well, that thing again, I would rather, really rather not. It was really unpleasant the first time.
That was a
Yeah,
mistake.
but
was a
Vertigo had
miscalculation.
vertigo at that point. Like his mind wasn't working properly because of the Titan. So I think that with time,
It was
maybe
working
he would be
fine, just
okay.
distracted by a lot of
You.
cosmic power.
Hmm.
Well, also explicitly, the primary problem with the gate last time was that the gate is designed to be between planes, not from one place on one plane to a different place on that same plane.
Mhm.
And so the you were trying to
It
go
would
from
not
the
be
Feywild
quick.
to the Feywild.
And there would be a place in between. It would take us 2 days.
Do you really think we're gonna have to bail out of here really fast again?
I want to be prepared in case we have to. There are places we need to be, and this may not be it. And time is not our favor.
History of us, yeah, we're going to need to move quick. That just seems to be our way.
There are still forces that are aligned against us. There's
Mhm.
still Tanglefoot somewhere,
That's true.
or the many of
I
them.
know. I'm
Tangle
sorry I
feet.
made you let him out of the bag.
It was a calculated risk. We just didn't know the full calculation.
Yeah. And it got a ancient red dragon on our side, so we didn't get eaten.
Can somebody remind me, did we tell Talitha that we had Rupino in the diamond?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I asked her if there was a way to make him stay there if that would be helpful to her, and she said at the time, yes, but it would potentially be difficult to make him stay because we also told her about Trendonell too, and that
Yeah,
we had his body.
there was basically both of those two individuals are potentially complicated because of course they did leave once before. Why would they stay now? Right? Unless you force them to stay, at which point you're in a different sort of ethical situation there, right? And so her position was it's not like she's going to, keel over tomorrow, but it's not a permanent solution. And so finding some other approach was kind of what she said might be better. Now, that's not, she didn't tell you not to do that, but it's more just a matter of like, if they left once before, why would they stay now?
Because
there-
everything is different now too, though. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I
we
think there
we
will
have a
come a
potential
time,
solution. Oh yeah, I will let him out eventually.
but Rupino had a very different design for what the solution was. Until we have ours in place, I'm not sure if I would trust him not to try it again.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it would take him a while because, well, wait, we don't know about that, do we? Because we were already gone when they blew up the observatory.
Think
Well, so
No.
you
We had them
know,
disable
well,
it.
because remember, Sequential stayed behind
Mhm.
and met up with the castle. So you know that before any of the Imperial forces got there, that the planar rift that basically powered the whole thing had been closed. And so it's not necessarily impossible that it could be started up again, but that would be a powerful thing that would take time to do.
Yeah, the idea there is that while yeah, that was his idea and his approach, that's not something he's going to be able to do immediately because we cut him off at the knees there.
Yeah,
Ev-
he might not even, I don't know, he's been in there for so long, who knows what his brain is like now, too. You know, being trapped in there for as long as he has. He's probably a little bit crazy.
Well, either that or he was just in some kind of like stasis type
well,
thing where
I mean, not
time
to
didn't really
mention
pass or
dead now, right? I mean, I know there's magic that can bring him back. This is Evan. I know there's magic that can bring him back, but I mean, like, I get presumably his soul is out in there in the afterlife doing something right now, right?
Well, Trindano,
Uh,
yes, but Rupino, different.
Rupino's in here, and I
Right?
hold
No,
up
I
the
know.
diamond.
I meant Trendinel. I have a question actually. Um. Uh. What? I know we've got this whole plan, the diamond amulet and everything to go into Deneth there, and I know that the idea is that there's good people in there, but like, do we have a plan? Or like, what is it that we're wanting to do exactly? Like, I understand we might not have any idea like what's even in there, so maybe we have to just find out before we can decide. But like, what is it that we're hoping to do?
so I was kind of thinking about this a little bit. And we don't really have a good way to sort out who's who there.
There is some ability to sense some of the corruption, at least.
Well, I imagine that probably everybody there is going to have some kind of something on them. But what I was actually thinking about is, what if we went to the source?
Eventually, that was my idea, or not that I'm claiming it, but what I was thinking. This magic can be tamed, or changed, or converted, or something. Maybe.
So go to the Titan relic thing.
Yeah, that. And that is super scary, but I can't I don't do like Nedry and I don't have all of these threads and questions and stuff, but I mean, if that's where it started, maybe that's where it can end also.
The Titan that we met. We could not destroy it. We could not put it away any more than it had put itself away. And yet, we did change it. My hope is that with a power so strong as what holds all of Denethor captive and threatens to destroy everything here is not so much that we can contain it, because that was already failed, or destroy it, because it is beyond anything we can imagine, but to change it. Maybe along the lines of what was originally proposed. The magic was used, and as long as paid for, was even. I don't know what that looks like yet. I need to know so much more, and only by going there can I know. That is one reason I'm going. Good people may be saved, but so much more will be known.
Well, something else that we should think about, and I think Talitha is probably a good person to ask. I know what I look like. You know, in all its many forms, but that's I got the impression it's kind of what everyone there looks like that, or at least some of them, or I don't know. That's what I'm saying, is that because we can't just like walk in there and be like, hey, what's up, we're not from here. Then they'd be like, how did you get in here? And we would, you know, have to explain, and then that would just be inviting trouble. So I guess basically what I'm saying is that we need to figure out how to blend in, or completely avoid people altogether.
Uh, yeah, but I mean, we're gonna have to stick our heads in and, uh, figure out what they look like first before we can make ourselves look, you know, like
I
them.
mean, we have a few examples in Talitha and Trendanel, in our druid friend. Hestia presumably has some resemblance to you, then. I don't know if I
Maybe
look
not
like
like
anyone
this,
there.
but the other. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't really know how that works.
So we get some disguise kids. And that's the answer.
In part, maybe.
Well, I think Talitha might have a good idea of where to start. Because I mean, for all we know, like, I don't even know how this bubble works. Are they just like trapped in there? And like, is it like, does time move the same way? Like, is their civilization advancing and all of this stuff? Like, I don't know. We just have a lot of unanswered questions, and I think maybe she could help us before we go and, you know, blow a door in this, you know, big old bubble.
Yeah. I kind of lean toward just kicking the door open and going. Um,
Well,
I mean,
I suppose we need the amulet still before we can do even that, but
yeah.
Let me work
So
on my spell.
you work
If I
on your
can
spell.
if I can locate it, we'll have a direction. If we don't, then perhaps a visit to Talitha will give us more information to find more.
Yep. Um, Brendan can send out for food. Evan and I can go train. Um, and
Uh,
we'll.
Also, we should remember that this whole like putting a door in the shield was not Talitha's plan, was it? I think it was Isilda's. So, I mean, she's the one that told me about it. Um, so she may not like the idea at all.
We could try to rescue Isilda. It's very dangerous.
That's a lot of monsters to fight.
Possibly. Some of them might just appear somewhere else.
Well, that's even worse.
Yeah. Although there's been a very large influx of divinely inspired clerics and paladins running around. Um,
It would keep
uh,
them busy.
and
Yeah, but they're kind of new at this, and I'm not trying to get people killed, you guys. So that's not something I'm willing to entertain, because if we're gonna unleash stuff, we're gonna take care of it. I'm not gonna put that on other people.
I was I think you did actually briefly talk to Talitha about the Isilda's plan. You didn't go back inside, but I think you communicated with her afterwards, like via sending. And I would I would have to try to go back and re-listen to be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that you did, because you had that same concern. And what she said was, more or less, when I set this up, I would have said that was a bad idea because the whole point was to keep them all sealed away. But as it is, we have to try something else. And I don't know what else. So it's basically along those lines of like, it seems dangerous, but we're in a dangerous situation already. You know, It's,
Mhm.
your risk calculus has to change when your status quo is already risky.
Did we
Yep.
ever ask her about like where all these nightmares came from in the first place? Because that children's book, right?
Mhm.
It talked about how the island was plagued with nightmares that was torturing people.
Mhm.
So where did they come from in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, unclear. She was not the one that ever really talked about like the plane of dream and that interaction. She thought of it more in the context of like the nightmares just exist and the Titan magic was like a way to control them.
Like maybe if it's just like I don't know, think about like a faucet, and we just have to turn off the tap.
Um,
I
if the
don't
water in
know.
your example wanted to flow, maybe it would be a little bit more accurate. These things are intelligent, if cruel and mean and somewhat scary. Um, the other,
Brendan says, well, I actually worked as a plumber for a little while, and there's this thing in plumbing that they call a dead leg. And that's just any kind of part of the piping where the water stays stagnant instead of flowing. And it can get contaminated when it's stagnant and then contaminate the rest of the water going through it.
that actually might be a surprisingly apt analogy. Um,
So what
if
if we figure out where the source of all of the badness is and seal that off from here? Then they won't have any nightmares to like, you know, turn into those little stones. And there's no more need for this particular ability to convert them, right?
hmm,
It's just an idea and just things that have been floating through my head. I'm not super good at this whole like planning thing, but so yeah, that was just my idea. I don't know what you guys think.
You're muted, Paul.
Yes, I am. That's a pretty good idea. I don't know how we would do it, but it's definitely worth looking into because if we could do that, then all we have to do is banish the ones that are here and they go back there and can't come back here.
But then there was also the Princess of Dream talking about how the nightmare energy was, overflowing into the dream realm, and it just something is going on they're pieces of this big puzzle that I'm not smart enough to put those together. So I don't know how they fit, but maybe there's some kind of correlation.
You suddenly hear a voice from like one of the stairwells, and it says, "The dead leg. That is what it is." And you look over and you see Sorashana, only she's got the mask down, and the voice you heard was not hers.
Just like point, it's like it's the guy.
uh, Walking towards all of you in definitely a much more sort of confident body language than you're used to seeing with Sorashana, just says, "The metaphor is apt. Energy flows through the plane of dream, and positive dream or nightmare is just a spectrum which is normally kept in balance. It is the stagnation created by the hoarding of energy in Dinuthere that is causing the corruption and the contamination. If the blockage can be eliminated, the balance can be restored."
you speak with confidence. How do you know this?
This is your
Gosh.
task. And in kind of a strange move, you see Sorashana in the mask just kind of calmly like sit down cross-legged and then like lie down gently. And then the Sorashana sits up taking the mask off and she says, "Hello. Did Kosh
Hello.
talk to you?"
Yes.
Just a little bit.
Were you not aware?
It's weird when that happens. It's like I thought so, but I just thought I would ask. Um, I'm glad you brought Curity and Valor back. Valor's really funny.
I bet you might like him.
Is there anything you can share about Kosh?
I don't know. He's just there. When I was little, I always thought everyone had Kosh or their own Kosh.
You are quite special.
She you see her reach up like she's going to put the mask down, but then she doesn't. I just want to help. And I think Kosh wants you to help. And I think that's why I think that's why you're here.
Have you had any luck with that card puller, I guess? I'm not sure what you call it. You probably have a name for it.
I'm trying to remember the specific because they were working on a couple of things, right? And so
Yeah, it was the one in association with the Vidunme deck.
right.
That they
Oh,
could, like-
of that, like to try to pull a specific one.
Yeah.
She says, sorry, like we've made like some, but we were focused more on improving Yobert's chair and some of the other things that Sequential and I were doing. We probably could if you left the deck with us.
It's okay. I was just wondering if you didn't have a chance to work on it. It's not like, there's not plenty of other things that are, probably more important. And we have another way to like get stuff out of there. It's just a little bit harder.
Yeah, it's kind of just like
Yeah. So if you haven't, that's okay.
sorry.
Nope. No need to apologize. It was just
It would be
asking.
faster if you left it with us, but I guess I know it's important.
It was very useful.
Is that what you want me to focus on now?
What do we think, guys? So we have at least a day here, right? Before we think we have to take off?
I'll need at least a day, yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
I will pull out the Vidunme deck and hand it over. It's like you have some time that you can work with it. But we'll probably have to take it with us again when we go.
So you hand it over.
Mm-hmm.
She kind of nods and sort of almost scurries back downstairs.
Well, okay, Vertigo, what do you need?
I'm just going to need time to try to bring the different magical theories together. It's complicated and hard to explain. I need to mix the magic of the Fae, the magic that I know, which is more formulaic, with some of the speculations I have about the manipulation of raw magic in its purest of forms. And then there will be the assembly of a large circle which will help to focus as well as
and just starts to get more technical and more technical and
Mhm.
more
Okay.
technical after
So
that.
let me rephrase. What do you need from us? Anything? Do you need any supplies that we can go get? I don't know, books or something, or people you need to talk to. What do you need us to do anything for you to help this whole process?
Hmm, I hadn't calculated having anyone else help me. Um,
Well, isn't that what we do? We're a team, right?
Yep.
I think I have this handled.
Zinhorn, just real quick, can you make a wisdom saving throw for me?
I can. 13.
All right. You are not aware of anything.
Yeah, pretty clueless. And the roll didn't help either.
Well, you're focused.
I think the only thing that I can ask is time and quiet. I haven't studied like this in a while, so I'm a little rusty.
Well, time and quiet, I think we can give you, and if you need anything else, you can just let us know.
Yep.
Thank you. There will be times ahead, I'm sure, where I will need everything and more.
Everything is a lot.
Mhm.
We're dealing with a lot, and I'm really short. So,
Size matters not.
Evan says you could go through the tower if you wanted to be
Bigger.
bigger.
it always felt very awkward to be that tall.
Oh, you know who I bet would find the tower fascinating? Because I don't know the last time we were here. Did we show Sorashana the tower?
Soroshan has seen the tower. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe
she
she
did
could-
think it was very cool.
Maybe she could fix the shrink ray thingy that we found.
We did leave it here with
Yeah, like that's the thing that
sequential, and
that was
they
what
were
they were
working
working on before they started working on Yober's chair.
Well, why don't we let Vertigo do his thing and we can go not poke around the lab because I'm not touching anything there. Um but we could go see what they've been up to.
Just for the record, as far as the stuff they're working on, part of what might make it seem like it's taking a long time is just the fact that we run such a day by day campaign, right? And so a week goes by in how many episodes. So it might feel like it's taking a long time, but it really hasn't been that much actual calendar time. Just to make excuses for her to not have completed stuff yet.
We want to see the Gantt chart to measure progress against the prospects.
Yeah, it's
The
like
itemized list.
what's their you need to establish some key performance indicators and
Got
You know.
got to get the stakeholders involved because
Mhm.
Zinhorn loves a good
Boys,
steak.
I'm not trying to let's know. Giving me a headache already. Can't. Anyway, okay. So,
You guys can go do that.
Yeah.
I'm not really feeling that right now, so you go ahead without me.
what's that? I'm sorry, I missed.
I was just saying, like, I don't want to go with them to the lab.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna kind of wander off,
All right.
find a quiet place alone.
Yeah. I just want to get Buster out first,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can go up on the roof and train.
Sure.
How big is the roof?
It's pretty big. Let's see. I don't have the maps open right now, but I'll. It's pretty big. I want to say something like 40 feet by 40 feet. I will give you that information in just a moment. I see many of you are already in the Roll20, which I didn't even have open because I didn't expect us to go on there today. Let's
think that,
see. It is square that is 75 feet on a side,
Nice.
so pretty big.
While
And most
Zinhorn
of
is
the
up,
roof is open space. Sorry, go ahead.
while Zinhorn is on the roof, that is where Vertigo is going and chalking out a massive circle that takes up most of the space.
Mm.
He won't activate any spell at that point, but he is building a space to work in.
And periodically, Buster's rampaging back and forth across it.
Maybe I need to use ink or paint.
And there was also the throne room where that maybe we could take Buster down there and give Vertigo his peace and quiet.
Or you guys could just both shrink down in the tower and build a little arena for yourselves. You could just duke it out in there.
You could go to a park. You're in the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are rumors that the parks are kind of dangerous in the city. I don't know.
Well, the park where we did that one shot was in Villanocta.
Oh, right. Parks in general are dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, we know the Reclaimers Academy is empty, so there's plenty of yard and stuff there.
And
We own it.
yeah, we own it.
It's
So,
true.
all right. I guess well, that gives us some time to walk past some street food vendors on the way there because we're gonna need to keep our energy up.
Canonically, you all literally just ate a big breakfast, but that's fine. I have no objection to more food. All right, so
I'm gonna stay around the castle and just kind
Okay.
of wander around and see how everybody's doing, and
okay.
you know.
So, Zinhorn, do you have? I would imagine unless you're taking the tower with you, you would have to have, excuse me, Buster out.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Buster is out. He's wearing his emotional support animal vest.
Well, let's go ahead and get an animal handling check. You know, for walking him through the city, especially with lots of people reacting to him with, let's say, wariness at best.
20.
20 is pretty good. 20 is pretty good. I would say, although you are not able to keep him quite in control enough to have people not be concerned, he is nonetheless on very good behavior, relatively speaking, meaning he doesn't run up on anybody. He doesn't sniff anybody without permission. He just walks by your side, and he is looking around at stuff, but he doesn't chase after anything.
All right.
And so heading. So what what kinds of street food are you imagining that you are seeking out here?
I figure we'll get like some pastries with veggies and meat and cheese and
Oh, yeah?
such inside that we can throw in our packs for break time, and also, to have Buster get some treats.
Yeah, nice. Some nice little hand pies.
Yeah,
Nice.
spicy meat pies.
Oh boy, I just imagined giving spicy food to something the size of Buster. And I just imagining the gray render equivalent of dog farts. Which
Oh yeah.
I just know as a dog owner, you sometimes have to be careful what the spiciness level of food that you're willing to give them, because it can have consequences.
Yeah. There's always consequences.
Uh, that just reminds me, there was, oh, what was it? Oh, shoot. There was some, I can't remember what it was now, but there was something recently where the way that someone knew that the true story about what had happened was wrong was because they said that what they smelled was dog farts. And they knew from the smell that it was dog farts, that means it must have been a dog that ate whatever it was instead of what someone else was claiming. And it was because they went in the room with no dog in there and said they smelled dog farts, and that's how they knew. And now I can't remember what it was, so it's kind of a pointless little anecdote. But in any way, I am so stuck what that was. I feel like it was a book or something. I don't know. Anyway, you make your way to the grounds of the Reclaimer's Mansion, which, although they still feel vaguely creepy, it takes a while to. Oh, that's right. You know what I just remembered is that the Reclaimer's Mansion you had assigned to be, renovated, right? And it still hasn't actually been that much time. But so I think what you discover is that there's a lot of construction workers all over the place there, and a lot of the grounds. Like there's a big parts of it that haven't been touched, but a lot of the grounds has kind of been, turned into bare earth because they have a lot of like lumber and construction equipment and workers on it.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're trying to renovate it and make it livable space again.
Yep. Is there is there still enough lawn for us to
Yeah, no, because there's big grounds. It used to be like
Yeah.
it was an estate.
Right.
So it has a relatively big grounds in the back where you can run around, no problem. All right, so you're just gonna spend a couple of hours there, or?
Yeah.
All right, nice. So, and Vertigo is working on his spell.
So a hemisphere of smoke and shadow forms over the top of the roof, filling the roof. It can't be seen through. It can't be. Where's the term here? It is the spell, Private Sanctum. Nothing can teleport in or out of that sphere.
Magically
and
secure.
sound does not travel through it. As he will actually be working on trying to combine basically the spell he was working on when he was in the Fae, which was used to try to find the crystal. So an attempt to kind of magnify that spell even further.
All right. So essentially, what you're hoping for here is, there's the locate object spell, but you're hoping for something that's kind of a little bit supercharged. Is the idea, or what?
Essentially, yeah. That it's more narrowly focused. It can't find any object, but will find these nightmare tinged objects, and it can provide a direction, not necessarily the distance.
Yeah. So it would be like a compass,
Essentially,
as
yeah.
opposed to. Yeah, so the standard locate object spell is a second level spell, and it has a range of 1,000 feet. Right? So obviously, the city is pretty big, right? So I think it's not trivial to just say, I think it might take a little while to make that just work. Like to make a supercharged version of that, unless you have something else that you think would allow you to make that more intense.
Vertigo is not lying. He will attempt to make this.
Mm-hmm.
He does not expect to finish it today, nor
Oh,
does he
sure.
expect it to
No,
work.
that's fine, and I'm not trying to object to that. I think there
Mhm.
was a little bit of looseness to magic rules when we were in Blades in the
Mhm.
Dark, but I think back over here in D&D, um, certainly if you have the spell, locate object is a straightforward spell. It's just a second level slot. If you want to be working on something to make it more powerful, you can, but I don't think that's the work of a day or even two. It's like, you know.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's the smokescreen.
sure.
That is the legitimate truth that he said he would work on it
Right.
and try it.
Okay.
However, what he will be doing
Yes.
is in fact waiting for the evening,
Uh-huh.
studying for a little bit to recover the spell,
Mm-hmm.
and then when he believes the sun has gone down and there's a high likelihood of it succeeding, he will cast Dream,
Uh-huh. Okay.
specifically to the adversary.
Right. Let me pull up the spell just so I have the context of that. So, since that is into the evening, let's avoid disrupting the timeline too much and just check
Yep.
in on Carolina and Zaleen first. But I love that as a concept, so we'll come back to that. So, Zaleen, where did you did you were just kind of going off to be on your own, but did you want to?
I found a cozy place in the shadows where I'm just sort of
Yeah.
meditating and communing with the Mistress of the Dark,
Okay.
trying to make sure that I can still feel that connection because
Mhm.
of how strange it was in the Feywild, and
Yeah.
just thinking about my purpose and things
Mhm.
like that.
You do. You feel the connection there. You don't receive any kind of a specific message, but I think after you've been meditating on it for a while, this sort of emotional vibe you get is a sort of, you know, not resignation. That's it's more just kind of like a this too shall pass sort of thing. Just like you know that there is a lot going on, but she does not appear to be, shaken or disrupted or anything. The work continues.
I like it in my shadows, so I just
Yeah,
kind of stay
sure.
there. I actually use my shadow skin to make myself one with the shadows.
Very nice. I suddenly thought of your ball of shadows, and it suddenly made me think of Darth Vader's meditation pod. Star Wars. And,
Yes.
well, so while the others are getting off to that, what are you up to, Carolina?
Wandering around, trying not to bug people mostly.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything in mind, just
Okay.
staying out of Vertigo's hair.
Sure.
And Zaleen seems like she's, doing her Zaleen thing.
Mhm.
And Zinhorn has left with Buster.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm
And Evan.
I'm relaxing because we don't get to do that a lot.
Oh, Evan went with you. Is that what you're saying, Zinhorn? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think he would if invited.
Yeah.
So you've got Sequential and Sorashana looking at the Vadunme deck now and studying that. Curity and Yobert seem to still be secluded in their chambers, and Brennan is kind of puttering around the kitchen.
I'm gonna go bug him, I think.
Yeah. Sure.
Mostly, I feel like I need to check in. So I know that you're very happy for Yobert and Curity, but it seemed like maybe you were a little sad.
Huh. Picked up on that, huh? And I think he is like, he seems to think that now seems like a fine time to reorganize the spice rack, so he's doing that. uh I mean, here's the thing. It's like I've kind of, Yobert and I have known each other for a long time, and I've kind of come to peace with the idea that, we're going to be great friends, lifelong friends, and that's it. And I value that quite a bit, and I know that it's just how it is. That he's not gonna really feel quite the same way about me that I do about him. And that's it's one thing when it's kind of all put away on a shelf, but like, I really feel kind of like a heel, honestly, that I'm not able to be just completely happy that she's back, because I mean it makes me like, they had such a tragic story, and the idea that they're reunited now, I mean, that's great, and I'm so happy for both of my friends. But it does kind of knock that old box off the high shelf, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. People are complicated. Get it? Have you I know that you two have been close for a really long time, but I mean, have you considered leaving at all?
You know, I mean, not ever seriously, right? Like, just because, I mean, Gilbert needed me. I mean, for a long time, it was just kind of the two of us. And, like he was going through everything with, his, dealing with the curse, and the fact that his family now saw the curse as a reason that, like, he needed to withdraw from, his official seat and all of that sort of thing. And like, like he needed me. And so I was here, and I really never questioned that. But, then we kind of, Sunia started kind of speaking up a bit more, and we ended up picking up Sorashana, and then more recently, all of you joined up, and it's been different. It's been good.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, this is maybe not the exact time that I would pick to, strike out on your own, but it might be worth considering to, figure out what it is that you need and what's going to make you happy. Because you've spent a really long time doing whatever you could to make him happy.
yeah, and I mean, like, I don't regret it.
No, no.
And
But
like right now, there's a lot going on, but
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it's like I said. I mean, it's kind of been packed away for a long time, but maybe I shouldn't be in too much of a hurry to get it all packed back up away. Huh?
yeah. It might be something to think about for, pending we all survive
Well, yeah, that seems like an
this.
important part to.
But I think there's still room for you to consider where you go from here. Like, assuming that we all survive and everything works out, what's going to make you happy? Because I will be completely honest, like, I would not be mad if you opened a bakery.
You know, I was just gonna say, like, the only job I ever had, I guess, was, you know, like being an adventurer, which, you know, certainly has its excitement and, you know, it's, the idea that I need to be prepared for a fight, you know, is good for, you know, keeping in shape and all, but, I can't say that I'm really, like, excited at the prospect of going out and hunting monsters or something.
Yeah, I think there's like a time and a place for that, and a certain window of a person's life that, you know, they can go out and do those things. And not that there's, you know, really ever a time that you absolutely should stop, but I don't know. Sometimes it's good to rest
Yeah.
and figure out, go on your own little adventure of, you know, just figuring out life. Because we all care about you so much, and you deserve to be happy too.
You know, I'm resisting the temptation to just sort of like brush that off. I appreciate that. It's been it's been really great since y'all came, and I know that it's been kind of a crazy, uh, crazy times since you've been here. You know, you're off, you're on, you're off in other planes. You're, you know, preparing to head out again, I guess. But even when you're not here, you're here in that way, you know, and it, you know, gets us outside ourselves. And, you know, a bakery in Pashan, though, I think that the market's really saturated here right now. I mean, we need really something to stand out, or maybe if I, you know, went, there's other places I suppose could use a bakery. Gosh, now I'm
I
thinking
mean,
about it.
I've eaten at a lot of bakeries here in Pashan, but I got to tell you, those little tarts that you made, like they were honestly
I've been
top of my
working on that.
list.
That's like
Yeah,
that is like
it shows.
that recipe is at like version 25.
Yeah, the hard work definitely shows, and I just want to let you know that I acknowledge and appreciate your skill, and to be honest, I'd probably go an hour out of my way to, if I really wanted pastries, that's where I would go.
All right. Well, okay. So, yeah, I compliment received. I think we can. You're laying it on a little thick now.
Just being honest. But
You can
just know
definitely see
that
he's
you're,
got kind of,
yeah.
you know, so his green skin is kind of blushed a little darker green in the cheeks, but he's you know, he's smiling now as he is finishing with the spice rack.
Oh, good. Just wanted to make him feel better.
Yeah. Okay. So I think a few hours pass, enough time that perhaps the sun starts going down. And so you would be, is the idea that you're just waiting for night because you're hoping that's when he would be asleep?
That's right.
Okay.
If he's not asleep, I'll know and I can wait.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the, so do you just, you kind of just hold it? I'm just looking at the spell. It's a neat spell, but it's got a lot of weird little
Yeah.
codicils.
Essentially, you go into a trance yourself,
Mhm.
as if asleep, essentially, and then you connect to them if they are dreaming.
Okay.
If they're not, you're aware they're not asleep,
Mhm.
but you can wait essentially on the threshold.
Okay.
It lasts up to 8 hours, so hopefully
Mhm.
sometime within that 8 hour
Sure.
span they take a rest.
Yeah.
They may not. It's a risk. He doesn't know what the result's going to be.
Okay, and so the idea is that when the spell takes effect, you appear in the target's dreams.
That's correct.
And let's see, you can converse with the target so long as they remain asleep through the duration of the spell, or as an option, you could make yourself or a messenger, um, uh, which would only be you in this case because you don't have anyone else helping you, right? So
Right.
so you could make yourself appear monstrous and terrifying to them, but if so, you can only say 10 words to them.
Right. No, he's going to appear as himself.
Okay.
Um, Probably it's him, but it probably would be the version of him that became Vertigo in the Feywild, which
Mm-hmm.
he's reverted his clothing back considerably now, but
Okay.
it'd be that image of him that he has in his mind.
All right. I think you do. Here, let me pull up something here. I think as you are, in this trance, there's a few times where it feels like it's starting to take effect and then it kind of fades. And you get several false starts over the course of about an hour. But eventually, you do find that you are mentally transported to what looks like an underground cavern, but an occupied one, where there is a number of different, just little, buildings. There's a whole little town, a whole little community here in this underground tavern, or not tavern, but cavern. Those are different words with different meanings. They even have different spellings. The community in the cavern does look to be gnome sized, and you are sort of kind of come to be aware that you are floating along behind a young gnome who is kind of walking through the streets of this little underground town, looking confused, like he's looking for something he can't find and he's concerned.
Does this look like a town that I'm familiar with at all?
Here's a question. Um, what would Nedry or Vertigo know about the various gnome communities in Sekamian? Like,
I
how
mean,
well
gnomes
traveled
all know
would he
each
be?
other, right? They look in the book. He's not well traveled at
Yeah.
all. He didn't travel outside of his home until he went to Bashan
Mm-hmm.
to study.
Yeah. I would say it's not specifically familiar at all.
Okay.
It looks very much like what you think of as the traditional deep gnome community.
Okay.
Like when you look up pictures in a book to say, this is what deep gnome towns look like, it's styled very much like that, but you don't recognize anything specifically.
Okay. I think for a few seconds, Vertigo is just sort of looking around, trying to absorb everything, and then kind of remembers why he's there.
Mm-hmm.
Is this where you're from, or where you imagine yourself wanting to be?
Uh, the this little gnome sort of flinches, cringes, and then just kind of straightens up, suddenly sort of dispensing with the strange sort of lost, concerned body language that they had had, and they just turn to look at you and just say, "Well, that's a new trick."
I don't have a lot of means at my disposal of communicating with you.
No, this is good. This is good. It's a lot easier to talk this way. Private.
Very private. I want to understand you more. Why you're doing this.
Yeah.
Why you think I might do this too.
Are you going to bring the diamond?
I will travel to you. It will be with me.
So, I'll confess that I may have prematurely judged you and your friends in the sense that you're making bad decisions out of ignorance rather than incompetence, which is good, really, because you can fix ignorance.
I've been attempting to do that my entire life.
But the thing that's happening right now, though, is that while by and large we don't want the same thing, for a moment, I think there's some overlap. And maybe we could help each other.
What is it you think you want?
I need to get inside Dina there. I
Were you there
assume that's
before?
what you want too.
Were you there before?
No. But I know what's inside. Enough anyway. He's started walking again, by the way. I assume you kind of drift after
Mhm.
him.
Actually, Vertigo will land and walk
Okay.
beside him.
Yeah, and so he is walking along like much more purposefully now. Like, when before you had the sense that, like, fairly standard dream, at least as far as I'm concerned as a person, that is like a place that is vaguely familiar and you know where you're supposed to go, but for some reason you just like can't quite manage to actually get there. Seems like that was the sort of dream he was having before, but now he's lucid in the dream and is just directing it. And you see the town, like he's passing through, but things are getting sort of much more concrete, in areas that were kind of just fuzzy and ill defined seem to be crystallizing into much more precise shapes.
I know you want to get inside, but what do you really want? What is your goal?
Short version is I need to make sure my people are left alone. That's what they want. I'm going to make sure they get it.
Who are your people?
He gestures around like,
I'm not familiar with this place.
good, because they want to be left alone.
I can help you with that.
Well, why do you think we're talking?
But your methods have been a problem.
Well, I could certainly say the same to you, couldn't I?
There have been mistakes. Yours seem more deliberate.
Well, I would say personally, my only mistake so far was underestimating what a pain in the ass you all are.
I'm used to being underestimated.
Yeah, it happens a lot with big creatures.
And family.
I suppose. So I assume you've reached out to me because you're trying to like unlock some secret that's going to explain my whole deal and make you think that you're going to be able to trust me, and um, then we can work together. Is like, am I in the ballpark here? Is that what this is about?
I do wish to understand you. Yes.
Well,
I'm not sure if I can change you or whether I should.
I don't especially wish to be understood. But that said, like I said, we've got some common interest here. I'm open to a limited compromise. But what I'm not interested in is just spilling my whole life story.
Do you wish to enter Denethir?
Yes,
And you need what we have to do it.
more or less. Had
And
some
all I
other
am
ideas,
asking-
but certainly a good idea requires the part that I have and a part that you have.
All I ask is for information. You have been able to do. You've been able to interact with these things in a way that I find surprising.
Mhm.
When did you start?
Well, uh, it really all seems kind of a piece. So I don't really. It's not like I made a decision one day. It's more a matter of having grown up, always knowing I wanted something, and just working on finding the best way to get it. And right now, I think the best way is going to be inside Denethor. And so I'm looking to find a way to get inside. And it's
Ew.
tricky. It's hard to get inside, which is kind of the whole point.
To protect your people.
Yeah.
Are your people in danger? And that threat be addressed?
I'm not going to get into that, if you don't mind.
If there is assistance we can offer.
Let's leave it as they want to be left alone.
Why do you think going to Denethir will accomplish this?
Well, with the amount of trouble that it's taken us, Denethor seems pretty well sealed away. I want to know how to do that.
Hmm. Do you think you can do this alone? Or can I help?
Do you want to help? I assumed all of you had your own reasons for getting in there.
Many people have many reasons for doing the things that they do. Understanding what is going on is one of mine. Like you said, our paths may travel alongside for a while.
See, I feel like I can't trust you all on that level. Like, it's one thing to say, I can promise you that the thing that you need and the thing that I need can go together, and then once we get in, we go our separate ways. That's one thing. I don't know about the rest. Like, I've reached out to you all a couple of times and got my hand slapped, so to speak. And I know that I wasn't the nicest either. But I don't think we're best friends now.
I don't think that's likely to be the case, but the one thing I value above almost everything is knowledge. This has been intriguing, and I think you know things that I would like to know too.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And while you may not find us as trusted as we should be, you will admit that that difficulty goes both directions.
Well, of course, but I'm not asking you to do the I'm not asking you. I'm not asking how I can help you with your thing.
Well, you are, by offering the amulet.
No, I'm saying that we both want inside. We use each other to get inside, and then that's it.
Will that be it?
As far as I'm concerned.
Do you know what to do with them?
What, the items?
Yes.
Well, that's a good. It's a fair question. I'm not worried about it. I have kind of a knack for these things.
Does someone tell you how to do this? A voice?
Well, that's one way to put it.
A partner?
No.
Good.
I am pretty much a solo act these days, and most of the time that's how I like it. And a lot of my efforts, interactions with other people is usually telling them things like, "Get out of my way, give me that thing, I'm warning you," that sort of thing. And I know that this is something you have heard from me a couple of times, and we've had our quarrels. And so I'm not asking you to trust me any more than I'm trusting you. And I think the limit of our relationship is going to be, you bring your part of the thing, I'll bring my part of the thing. We use them to get inside. We go our separate ways.
Do you know how the Emperor died?
Maybe. Didn't have to.
Didn't have to? You don't think so?
Look, I wanted the amulet. Things could have gone another way. This is the way they went instead.
What do you know of the amulet? Its power?
See, this is starting to edge into territory where, like, I think it's disruptive to the proposal that I'm making to you. Like,
So
you know,
don't know.
you know what you need to do your little ritual, and I know that too. You've got one part, I've got the other. Like, I feel like the more questions you're asking me, I'm starting to feel like you're just probing for weaknesses or something.
Not weaknesses, information. I wish to understand.
Well, what you need to understand right now, anyway, is I need you to bring that diamond. And you can either just hand it over, or we can use it together to get into dinner there. And the truth is that I know you've probably told your little friends already, but I think you're also smart enough to realize that if you tell anyone else that you're negotiating with what they're probably calling it, assassination, this way, huh? Then I would suspect that's going to limit your freedom of movement somewhat. So keep that mum. But if the people are going to go inside with us, like, bring them. But believe me, if you show up with like a battalion or something, you'll just never see me again. And one day you'll wake up and discover the diamond's missing too.
I do not think it serves either of our interests to bring that many outsiders into this.
Well, good. I knew you would see that. And I'm glad to hear that maybe this is something we can make happen. But like I said, I'm not especially interested in sharing my life story. You know, you obviously want to get in there too, and I don't care why.
You should, but I can understand why you might not. It won't be good for your people if what we do fails.
Well, if I have my way, my people will be sealed away, just like they want.
I do not know how long it will take, but I will head in your direction. I cannot travel alone. You know this.
Yeah. You know, I'll tell you though, it's a skill that I have found valuable.
I am
But
sad
whatever.
for you and your people then. But I think I remember reading it somewhere that to truly protect your people, you have to leave them.
Well, I don't know about have to.
You would not be the first to try.
So, I guess I'll just wait to hear from you.
I may have other means, but yes. Where shall we meet?
Temple. You know the one.
It's a big place. Any specific spot?
I'll find you.
Percival? Sleep well.
And he'll end the contact.
All right. He definitely, when you say the name, he kind of just like ugh. But
Can I make an insight check on that?
Yeah.
I have terrible insight, so it's not going to work, but I am curious. 14.
All right, let's see. Let me where did I have his sorry, I had his stats up for a minute ago. Oh, here. You know, I think I don't think he's particularly trying to disguise this or anything. I think you are able to tell from him that calling him just like by any kind of an ordinary name, like he thinks of himself as kind of beyond an ordinary person. And like for you to use his name in that way to kind of like it almost like to sort of humanize, to use a species specific term, to like, or like to it almost feels like you're trying to draw a line around him to define who he is, right? And he doesn't like that. But it's not an aggressive thing. It's more just like, ugh, yuck. All right, and so you pull away from the dream.
Yep.
All right.
It's the middle of the night, so I will let the others
Yeah.
sleep. But he starts making notes about what he learned.
All right. So I think while that had happened, probably in the evening, you get a call from on the sending stone from Ivy, who just says, "We've managed to hold everybody in their current positions with the promise of a summit. Officials from some of the neighboring regions are traveling here to discuss the next steps. No one has backed down precisely, but at the very least, no one is making emergency, urgent, violent sorts of moves. There is a new claimed regent from the Church of Solomonia. She claims to have been sent by the goddess herself to see the city through its times of trouble. This is unasked for, of course, but at the very least, I cannot sense anything from her other than a desire to help. And it's certainly true that we have reports that many of these new winged individuals have been seeking out nightmare creatures and dispatching them. That's all I have to report for the moment.
So who's the regent?
There's a woman, a gnome woman named where's my notes? Oh no. Courtney Brightspark, and apparently she was the high priest of the Church of Solomonia, Temple of Solomonia here in the city. But rather elevated now by divine claim, so she says.
When are we suddenly in a theocracy? This never ends well.
Well, not one now, but certainly it does seem as though there might be a significant percentage of the population very eager to see that installed. I don't know that there a lot would be, but there's also some question of what the alternatives are, especially given that it's more and more clear that there is an actual threat that they are actively dealing with.
All right. Well, things don't seem like they're going to immediately explode. So,
Not so far, anyway.
yeah. I guess the lightning rail is still working if people are coming into town, so maybe it's time for us to put on our disguises and leave town.
So is this at breakfast the next day as we're chatting?
Yeah, that seems like it makes sense
Yep.
to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gilbert and Curity have come out by then, and they're I think everyone's around the the breakfast table. So he's been updated on the basics of what's going on.
I think we'll be leaving the city soon.
I know that your mission certainly calls upon you elsewhere, and although the turmoil here is startling, I don't think it diminishes the importance of the Dunatharian problem.
I would suggest that perhaps the castle might move, but there perhaps is no need to rush.
In some respects, if you all are leaving, it might serve us well for as long as things remain moderately stable here to have someone here in the city advocating for you. I know Ivy and Nelson are there, but they are both individuals who work behind the scenes more often than not. And so having someone with some degree of, I'll say it, nobility might be of benefit. And Curity looks over at him and just sort of pokes his shoulder, and he says, "It's something that I think would benefit everyone. I it's there's so much going on. It's easy to be overwhelmed, but I think in some respects, when that happens, avoiding the big changes when you can might make sense." And Curity just says, "We have, after all, had a lot of big changes recently ourselves."
Change can be disruptive and powerful and good and bad and useful.
All of those things. But I think it's also valuable to try to maintain some degree of control where you can to avoid total chaos.
Dangerous. Zaleen, do you intend for Evan to travel with us wherever we go?
If he wants to, like, I'm not the boss of Evan. We just,
Evan,
Yeah.
do you intend to travel with us?
I mean, I guess I was just assuming that I would be, but I don't know. I mean, is it going to be safe here? Like, are like?
I can assure you that most likely over the next few weeks, maybe months, possibly years, safety will not be assured anywhere.
Well, I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying is that I never assumed it would be safe to go with all of you. I was just trying to like why are you asking suddenly?
I don't know.
I mean,
I am going
I,
to put your life in danger, and I wish to know whether you believe it. Enough.
oh, I mean, well, if that's the question, then yeah. I thought just for a second you were maybe like saying I should stay here to help protect here. But no, I'm on board. Like my life is different now that I've like hooked up with all of you guys. This is important.
I can tell. You've changed a lot. And I assume that Buster will be with us as well.
Oh yeah.
Good.
Where I go, Buster goes.
Do you wish to bring anyone with you, Lynn?
Well, I'm already like 8 people, so I'm good.
Um I think Yobera does say if you all felt that it was easier to travel with a smaller group, we certainly could use Evan's skills here in case of any incident. But I would not presume to require him.
Evan, that's up to you. I mean, if you want to stay here and help Lord Yovere, make sure that they're safe here, I would not be opposed to that. I mean, you would still be doing good.
Evan is giving you like blue screen behind the eyes. Like he seems genuinely conflicted.
You can think about it. We're not leaving right this minute. So
You have 1
think
minute
about
to
it.
think
We
about
can.
it.
No, you don't. Don't listen to Vertigo. He has vertigo.
We stand upon a threshold upon which there is no turning back. If you wish to join us, then you will be changed, and there will be no return. maybe to life, but not as you are now. This is why it is serious. This is why I ask you, not with frivolity. But I believe in you. I've seen you change. But I always believe that your mind is your own to make.
Well, gosh, now I feel like weird because I was gonna like make it a whole big thing. Like, if you want me to go, I'll go, and if you want me to stay, I'll stay. But now, like, now that feels like I'm supposed to decide.
You
Well,
are
you are.
desired in both places.
You think about it for a few minutes. We can
But
talk
I'm
more.
just an NPC.
I know.
If you wish to join us, then meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. Each of you, Lynn, Zaleen, Zinhorn. You can bring Buster, but I'm not sure he'll understand anyway. But I do not presume.
And he leaves the table and goes to the roof. And he casts Private Sanctum with all of its effects in full this time.
Evan,
think-
for what it's worth, I would like you to join us.
Yeah, like
Did did I miss something? Why is this all of a sudden like even a question?
Well, we can also just say briefly in the meta that I know you all like Evan, but it's a question of like, do we have kind of an opportunity here where it would make sense for him to stay. It could, and I think there's an opportunity for you as players to decide if you want to have Evan come along or not. Because like in character, it makes sense that your characters like him, you might want him to come along, but I think we can also look at it from both perspectives.
yeah, I think that like as a player, I'm okay with leaving Evan behind right now because it's a lot running my own character and then having to, take care of Evan too, like in the meta. Zaleen like adores him and
Well, like
and everything, but
so we could, for example, say that the Mistress of the Dark kind of taps you on the shoulder and says that if he remains behind, then she has connection to both places.
ooh, see, I will tell him that then. I will be like, okay, so she wants you to stay. So that way she can, keep it all connected.
Well, I mean, if that's what the Mistress of the Dark wants, then yeah. I'll make sure this place stays safe, so it's here when you come back. You all make
Keep up your prayers.
yeah, and like, try to like make us not get overwhelmed by nightmares, I guess.
You got this. Think of all the things you've learned over the last
Yeah.
2 weeks since we've known you.
Yeah, you've leveled up like 6 times in 2
Mhm.
weeks.
It's crazy.
I got this
No,
cool
it's been
hand,
longer.
my cool
Yeah,
fey
see,
hand.
you got like
Yeah.
a fake hand that's like, it goes really well with my Darth Vader thing.
'Cause I said fey hand and you said fake hand, and I thought that was funny. Fey or fake? Anyway,
Both.
yeah. So I did kind of want to just like in character. It was one of those things where I recognized there's potentially one of the occasional conflicts of in character we like Evan, but in the meta, you have to run a secondary character. It makes things a little more complicated. So I was like, yeah, okay.
I feel like over the last couple of months we've become a little too reliant on NPCs, and it would be interesting to see how we fare without
Yeah.
those extras.
Well, combat will move a little faster too.
I mean, there's always Buster.
Hmm.
Buster is joined with Zaleen or with Zinhorn's hip. So
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense that like there's not any obvious like you know we've kind of got plot obvious ways that make sense for Ivy and Evan, but Buster would be hard to justify fictionally. Besides, Buster is easier, I think, by comparison. I don't have to role play him. All right, so I think that's sounds decided then that he will stay here to help hold down the fort, so to speak, and the rest of you go up to join Nedry's or Vertigo's, excuse me, private sanctum on the roof.
and it
This is cool.
probably feels weird passing through this thick mist. You can't see at all through it. You can't hear anything coming from inside, and you probably get this magical tingle as you pass through, with the notion that perhaps nothing can pass through it that's not wanted. Although that's not exactly what it can do. But within that, there is a smaller circle, about 10 feet in. I forget if it's radius or diameter. As he also casts Magic Circle, but he'll wait until everybody's there because that one only lasts for an hour. 10-foot radius. Okay, so it's a fairly large circle. That's good too. And he kind of asks each of you to step within the circle, and then closes it and casts. And you can see the runes on the roof of the building glow brightly, and a visible a visible cylinder goes up from there.
Forgive the precautions, but it is as much about preventing others from knowing too much as it is about preventing them from interfering. I know where the amulet is. It is not within the city. I know what we must do next, and you will not like it.
Oh, did Evan join us, by the way?
No.
Okay.
I do not understand it all yet, or how it all fits together. Perhaps it does not. I can accept that there are elements of chaos in the things that I am trying to understand that do not fit together and do not intend to interfere with each other, but yet they do. What we will need to do, I believe, will not come easy. We will need to trust the non-trustworthy. We will need to, I suppose, believe in what we are doing. And I think it will probably end painfully, but hopefully correct. The chaos that's happened here in Pashan, for example, is, I think, a side effect, a different cause, a different combination of things. May or may not be connected, as I said before. The death of the Emperor was, I fear, inevitable. The cause, thankfully, was not us, directly. But I think it would have happened, because we need the amulet. And I do not believe that without it, he would have survived. We are going to open a doorway to Dinethir. And we will go through. We will learn what we can. Maybe we'll be able to save some. Maybe not. But we will not be alone. There will be another with us. The chaos of their mission intersects with our own.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Good. We will be traveling with the adversary. Maybe now you see why I've taken some care, why I was concerned about any more than necessary going. I do not trust the adversary.
Then why are we doing this?
Because I believe these paths have intersected. And while I do not trust the adversary, I think I can trust that their goals are not ours and do not interfere with ours. I still do not know everything about this strange person, and I may never. That bothers me. Ultimately, no one may know anything ever about the adversary, or more importantly, his people. That is his goal. I cannot make you forget these things. I have not studied that kind of magic, and I am leery to try to use it except on my own self. But from here, you are changed. From here, you know something which is dangerous. From here, you know that where our paths lie, there are strange allies. We will not like it. And there will come a point where, I think, chaos will return. We can be ready for it. I could not tell you earlier. I still had questions. I still have questions. The time moves. We will go to the temple of Marushka. We will travel quietly. Probably by lightning rail, because as much as I liked the previous voyage parts of it, it took too long. I do not intend to come back.
Excuse me? What do you mean by that?
I do not think this can be solved from this part alone. I think it will take something on the other side. And I want to know what it is, what all of this is. I do not believe we will destroy it. I do not even know if it can be destroyed. But I want to know.
And what if it kills you to stay?
I will attempt not to die. But I need to know. Maybe it will not work out as I hoped. Maybe everything is destroyed behind us. I do not know. Knowing is what I seek. But I cannot turn down this opportunity to know this. To know what happened, to know what they did, to know how to defend or control or make right the magic that they created. Consider it my senior thesis. And now you know another thing. You cannot unknow it. Knowledge is like that sometimes.
So I was going to ask you how you knew where the amulet was. And then you mentioned the adversary. So here's something else for you to know. He killed my emperor. And I am a loyal son of this city. If I get a chance, I'm going to kill him. And I'm going to bring his head back here.
I would only ask that you caution your timing.
I can wait. But you're my brother. And we've been through a lot together. And killing the adversary out of revenge isn't going to bring the emperor back. And apparently he doesn't want to come back. And so I think I'm just as likely to stay with you, especially if you're in danger, because you'll last a hell of a lot longer with me and Buster at your side. And that I think is more important than petty revenge.
I just don't have words right now. After everything that he's done, after everything that you've done, you want us to trust you as you ally yourself with the bane of our existence. And I don't know if I can do that. I'm having a really hard time with this. I understand that you want to know and understand things. That's just the way your mind works. That's just who you are. And I respect that. And I know eventually we need to go there. But I don't know if this is the way.
I studied magic for all of my youth. Still not that old, really, but I feel changed, older than I was. Everything that I was taught was that magic follows rules, and that it was a matter of learning the rules, understanding how they could be pulled and pushed, and simply doing it. That was what magic is. But I've seen more. I've seen that that is one way to see magic, but that is not magic. I've seen that magic is life and death, chance and fortune, that it is inexplicable at times and incredibly coincidental. I have started to know that magic is chaos and order. And when I think about what I am to do, I have to throw off the patterns of my youth. I have to know that Not everything is in straight lines. Not everything that seems wrong is wrong. Not everything that seems right is right. That sometimes the opposites are true. I believe this is a moment of that. But I understand your suspicion. I still have it. The adversary himself told me not to trust him, which is perhaps the most trustworthy thing he's ever said to me. Wrong is right and right is wrong. But I promised little. I promised this intersection of our paths that they, too, wish to enter Dinethir. And they have something that we need to do so. We could try to take it by force. We have tried to do many things by force. And force will be needed. I do not lower it, even though I'm not very good at it. But I think for the moment, I will let chaos be my guide. You haven't said much, Lynn.
Well, if I've learned anything about dealing with you, you have your own way of thinking about things. And what I say doesn't necessarily make a dent.
I listen. I think I'm finally starting to understand music. It's a marriage of chaos and order.
Sometimes I think maybe you think too much.
I don't really know any other way.
No, maybe not, but it's gotten more since the Titan. And I know that you touched something there that did something to your mind. And I'm concerned that you're not thinking clearly.
So you're saying he wants to get into Dinethir.
Yes.
Why?
For the most peripheral of reasons. Dinethir to him is nothing more than the capturing of Dinethir. From what he told me, and part of it was probably a lie, he wishes to know how they separated Dinethir.
Well, you don't have to go to Dinethir for that.
Part of the answer lies
Just
on the other
ask
side.
Talitha.
There is something different between hearing a thing and seeing a thing. I thought all knowledge lived in books and lectures and in answers to questions. I was wrong. There is something to be learned in being in the world.
Are we not at all concerned that maybe that's not true and he's going there for entirely different reasons and is going to make things even worse?
Like, why does he doesn't even deserve to go to Dinevere?
Do we?
I mean, I don't want to go to Dinethir. I'm only going
do
there
I.
because we have to.
We are only going
wants to.
because we have to. And while there is still some suspicion, I think he has to too.
I don't know about this. I need to think about it. I know it feels very urgent to you. And normally I flow with chaos and let it guide me. But in this, I I need to think.
If you wish.
Like, didn't he also take the circlet that, you know, caused Nedry at the time to, like, totally lose it?
Mhm.
Like,
And
why are
yet-
you listening to anything he says?
He like possessed sequential.
Mm-hmm. He's very
He's
powerful.
insane. He's crazy.
I'm not sure that's the word I would use.
You were with me chasing him through Rupino's place. He is corrupted and cursed and more than just a little bit mad.
And yet, he still moves. He still thinks. He still plans. He is containing all of this. I do not know how. He would not divulge that, and I understand why. But
Look at all the damage he's done on the path to doing these things that you admire. Because you can't deny that you admire him. And that is a little bit scary.
I only admire perhaps the quest for knowledge. But not his methods. If we do go, one possibility that presents itself is he may also not return.
Is that going to bring my friend Baldu back?
Only a god's will can bring your friend back, I think. Or perhaps he is rescuable from the place that he is in. I don't know. He is not innocent. But for a moment,
Like, I think he's arguably, like, objectively, is not a good guy.
I don't think we should help him get anywhere near Dinefear.
Mm-mm. I agree.
I do not think there is a choice in this.
There's always a choice.
Sometimes.
I know that you're not feeling like Nedry right now. And that's okay. But I think Nedry's still in there. And I want for you to confer with that part of yourself and remember how necessary you felt the circlet was and all the damage that that wrought. Before making any hasty decisions and rushing off to meet with someone who has caused us nothing but trouble and pain since moments after we met.
We will go there regardless. Whether you agree to help or hinder, whether we decide to betray or extend trust as we hope we are trustworthy. But we will go there. That much I can see as order. The danger that we risk by not doing this with him is everything. I think there is a solution where that risk is minimized. For that one instant. Beyond that, I could not even fathom. But I've been unfair. I have asked you too quickly. I had hoped to take more time, but time moves. And I have very little mastery of it. A few spells I've been working on, but nothing big enough. Nothing's ever big enough. I will be going, and I will be leaving tomorrow. If I do not have the item with me, it will probably go worse. If I have the item and all of you, there is a chance. But
So what it sounds like to me is that regardless of whether or not we come with you, you're still going. Right?
I have to. That is where the amulet lies. And that is the only thing that I need to do right now.
So just checking in, do we want to try to see if we can come to a firmer resolution here in the next little bit, or maybe we can leave this discussion as a bit of a cliffhanger for next time?
As someone who's been recently cliffhangered,
Perfect. Let's do it.
yes.
So that's a yes then?
Mm.
Okay, well, so I think then, while the uncertainty of the path forward still lies in hazy shadows, we will find out what happens next time when we return for more adventure on so many levels.
So many